Coming up, I'm going to be talking about the Hawkeye trailer plus the theatrical window shortening. But before we get into any of that, make sure you do hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest Disney Plus news. Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at DisneyPlus.com. It's Monday, it's time to jump into some of today's big Disney Plus news. Okay, so let's start off first off with Hawkeye. We have got the first trailer. It has now been released. This one is just full on Christmas. Here we see Hawkeye. He's kind of after the blip and he's with his family and he wants to spend time with them. But then his parents catches up with him. He ends up teaming up with Kate Bishop and they go on, it looks like to be one heck of an adventure. We've got Christmas trees, we've got Christmas music. This just looks so much fun. Kind of giving me a bit of Die Hard feelings, but this just feels so interesting. It's so different than what we've seen so far with the MCU this year. You know, you look at all of these different series, you know, and I remember thinking, well, with all these movies and series, is it going to be a bit too much? They're all so different, and Hawkeye's looking really different. I'm really looking forward to this one. It just looks great, and it's finally time to sort of see Hawkeye get some proper screen time. Yeah, and this one I'm just really looking forward to. So the first episode will be dropping on the 24th of November. Just in time for Thanksgiving, and then obviously that will be running for 6 weeks, taking us right through to kind of the end of 2021. I'm really looking forward to this one. What did you think of the trailer? I'd love to know your thoughts. Some other news, it is Monday, that means it's time for some new content to arrive on Disney Plus in some countries, including the UK and Ireland, where we got the 4th episode of the 11th season of The Walking Dead. Just watched it this morning, really enjoying this series. It's all about Daryl and his dog, and yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. So if you're in the UK, you might want to check that one out today. Also, Disney has picked up a number of Emmy Awards over the weekend, where they did kind of the technical side of things. They're going to be doing the main Emmys later on, but they kind of won quite a lot here. The Mandalorian won 7 awards, WandaVision won 3. Also, Disney Plus originals included Secrets of the Whales, Black is King, and Hamilton picked up awards as well. So the main one there that kind of a lot of people have jumped onto was Agatha All Along, won an Emmy as well for yeah, and I just really like the idea of Disney Plus getting all these different awards, you know, and it's kind of kicking off. Hopefully we'll get some big ones as well when the proper Emmys, I'll say the proper Emmys, but when the full Emmys that everyone pays much more attention to, it'll be broadcast on FFX as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this one, and it's kind of that start of this next season of Disney Plus starting to pick up some awards, because obviously it's mainly been dominated by Mandalorian, but now we've got all the Marvel shows in there as well. But let me know what you think of Disney picking up all these Emmys in the comments below. And finally, we're now going to be talking about Disney changing its theatrical window release schedule. So what they have announced is all of the movies up till the end of this year are going to have 45-day exclusive theatrical releases, which is similar to what they've done with Shang-Chi and also with Free Guy. So they're going to go to cinemas first for 45 days before they can be put onto other digital platforms or onto Disney Plus. Now there's a couple of things here I want to talk off. First off, Enchanto is actually going to have a 30-day theatrical window, so therefore it's going to be dropping just before Thanksgiving, and then it'll then be arriving on Disney Plus on Christmas Eve. That's already been confirmed, which is great news. I mean, that's going to be a big movie for Christmas. Also, Eternals has got a 45-day window, which takes us through to Christmas week. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if we end up with both of those movies for Christmas. I think that's going to be a massive drop for Disney to get both of them to. However, the majority of the movies coming out later this year are actually by 20th Century Studios. So you've got Last Duel, you've also got Ron's Gone Wrong, and also The Kingsman. So those won't be going to Disney Plus in the United States because they're going to have to go to HBO Max due to pre-existing contract, which expires at some point in 2022. However, internationally, they are then going to be free to be released on Disney Plus. It might be a little bit different in some countries due to some other contracts, maybe like with the UK with Sky. But this is really going to change up what's happening with Disney Plus. Now, obviously, they've not announced what's going to be going forward in 2022. But Disney are kind of following what a lot of the other studios have already said with doing the 45-day window, and I think that's going to become the standard for where they go. They've shown with Shang-Chi that is kind of the way to go, and also it kind of gives movies a little bit more oomph in the second and third and fourth weeks for bringing in more money through the box office. But there's also some other benefits as well. It kind of makes movies feel a lot more important, I think, than when they go straight to streaming. I mean, and it also primarily stops a lot of that piracy, and then when it's out to everyone. I think this is kind of the best of both worlds. When you think back to before the pandemic, movies would take 6 to 8 months to arrive on Disney Plus after they were released in cinemas. Now for these movies, it's going to be about 45 days. Whereas with Encanto, that one's going to be arriving just 30 days later. I mean, that's a huge thing for them to do with this one. And yeah, that's going to be a massive hit for Christmas. But everything's really going to be moving on from how they move it. You know, Premier Access was always going to be a temporary thing, you know, something they used just in the pandemic. Now, there are still some countries that are still in lockdowns, and, you know, we've been told here in the UK that there might be more lockdowns coming, but they might not be. They don't want to do them. So things might have to change around a little bit. But ultimately, Disney have kind of set out a path, and they kind of needed to. I mean, I think everyone needed to know what was going on. They're going to obviously change things in the new year if they decide that this thing's not working. But I suspect this will be the way they move forward. But yeah, but there'll be no more Premier Access release titles later this year. And as we move forward, I don't know if they'll bring it back. It was a very, very difficult situation. Obviously, as well, they had the whole issue with Scarlett Johansson, and that mess to sort out, not just in the courtrooms, but also publicly with so many people against it, and sort of, it's just become a nightmare for that whole process. So, obviously, with the success of Shang-Chi, that's kind of sort of set things up to go forward. But let me know what you think of all of this in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Go check us out over at whatsonDisneyPlus.com. Remember to check out our weekly podcast, and you can find it on all the podcast services and on YouTube that we recorded on Saturday, and then we did like a live Q&A yesterday as well on the channel, so definitely want to check that one out. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters. I'd like to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month, and you get access to our weekly Q&A and much more.